Nice, man. Like you just mentioned, man, you're in Santa Cruz, man. You're getting ready to play a show there in a few hours, man. Touring on this album right now, what has the experience been like? Because this is your first album with Havok. So how have the North American shows been so far?
Fantastic. We've played some really super sick shows, and then once we went through the Midwest, it was kind of rougher. We were just trying to connect the dots and go to places that we haven't been in years or ever. So we were trying to new stuff out, but it was rad. I mean, touring on the new album is cool because we get to play a lot of the new material, and it's very well perceived, or received, I should say.
Nice, man. The new album, man, Unnatural Selection, just dropped in June. And like you said, the material has been received really well with fans live, and it's been received really well with critics too. It's like an overwhelming positive reaction to the record. I haven't read the review yet, man. How good does it feel when you put all this work into a record and you just hear nothing but good stuff? Because some bands don't pay attention to it, some do. How about you guys?
I mean, it's cool. It's great to have such success off the album because, for instance, we hung out with the dudes in Revocation, and they're some of our best friends, in the business, and they were like, dude, track 3 is the shit, so that part's really cool to, hear from your peers and a band that you're a huge fan of, It's really cool to, hear that kind of reaction to it.
Yeah, I mean, and you slowed it up a little bit on some parts of this record as compared to previous records. Is that something you guys really planned on, or is that something kind of inspiration really struck you, you went in, it just kind of happened?
Yeah, it was intended slightly. I mean, there was riffs that went into it, and some riffs ended up being super brutal, Worse Than the War, that riff in the beginning. Reese wrote that, and it was just whoa, so this is obviously going to be a different kind of Havok song, and you could kind of tell how the vibe was going to pan out, and it ended up being super crushingly heavy, and a lot of the record is like that. We just wanted to slam, because we have so many damn fast songs. We all love Pantera and, Metallica, even when they started slowing down and getting real heavy, so
yeah,
we decided to do it too, and it's working in our favor.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And a lot of you guys' work, especially with this record, has been, I've seen it put as it's on par with a lot of the legends like Slayer, Anthrax, Overkill, and some Metallica, man. When you read the work you're putting out is, as quality-wise, is on par with some of that stuff. Man, do you ever sit back and think about that, or is that how does that make you feel? Hear about that? It's got to be surreal, dude.
It's pretty surreal, and definitely. When you're reading an interview or something, or a review of the record, and people are praising it, saying man, this record, is on par with some of the best. Like you were saying, it's flattering, and it's man, that's awesome. Now we just got to get the recognition that we need, and we'll start playing bigger shows and spreading the heavy.
And you really got to back
everybody.
It up, and you got to back it up too. I mean, it's one thing to have
the
record, man. When you come out and see it live, you got to back it up in person and up close, man. Which that can be tough to do, especially when you're being compared to bands of that caliber.
Oh no, man, we love playing on stage. There's no problem with our live performance, carrying the energy of the songs. I mean, we get into it. That's the best time of our day, collectively. That's what we're here to do, is to play those songs. And when we do, we play with utmost conviction.
Awesome, man.
So
you guys toured.
It works.
You guys toured Europe a little bit ago, man. How were the European Havok shows? Because metal scene here is one thing. Metal scene in Europe is completely different from what I've heard.
That's very correct. Yeah, that's very, very correct. When we were playing over there in Europe, one of the most obvious things that we noticed was the crowd participation was very different than in the States, because in the States, you tell a group of rowdy dudes to get in the fucking pit, and while out, and they'll do it. they got their hands up and they're like, you know, screaming in your face and stuff like that. Europeans aren't really like that. They're a lot more timid. It's almost like they sit back and they study you, you know, because they've seen it all before. You know, I mean, in my opinion, like, music was perfected in Europe. I mean, it's old. They've seen it all, you know. So I think they like study a little bit more. But at the end of the song, they still cheer and they're like, "Yeah, sick!" And they're super critical, man. If you like hanging out after the show and you're like, "Hey, man, how did you like the show?" They'll be like, "It was good at parts, and some parts kind of sucked, but yes. Anyway, they'll buy all of your albums and 3 of your T-shirts." So it's like, oh, okay, well, I'll take that.
Is it harder to win some of them over? Like harder? It's hard to win. Some metalheads are hard to win over here, man, because they're.
Oh yeah.
But is it harder to win them over in the European countries?
Yeah, it is. Like I said, they're so timid, you know, like, you can point right in their face and be screaming the lyrics, and they might, like, crack a smile or something, or, like, give you the horns, but that's the extent of it.
That's weird, man. I have trouble picturing that, because I'm so used to just insanity, you know? Yeah.
Some people will get really into it, and there's definitely rowdy crowds, but for the most part, I noticed that it was quite timid. I mean, it could have been because we were the only, like, thrash band on a completely death metal tour, so people might not have known what to expect, maybe. But that's good.
Yeah. Man.
We still kicked ass.
It's no secret that a lot of the lyrical content has some political topics that Havok puts out and writes, man. Is there anything specific you guys wanted to touch on topic-wise when you went in to do Natural Selection?
Yeah, mostly the whole idea behind the album was just for people to open their eyes and think for themselves, because there's lots of things going on in our world on a day-to-day basis that the general populace kind of just sweep under the rug, you know. There's advances in science, there's, like, advances in, you know, wars, like the situation in Syria and recently in Egypt, you know. There's all those kind of things going on, but the media saturates it with Miley Cyrus twerking, and that all of a sudden, like that's, people legitimately care about that more than topics that should concern them, that affect their way of life and their future. So you gotta open your eyes a little bit and try to figure out what's really going on and make it work.
I read that when you recorded this record in a theater, which is really cool. I haven't read about any bands really doing that on a regular basis. How did recording in a theater, you know, affect the final product of the record and the quality?
Well, the reason behind recording in the theater was we were able to access it because Dave he works many venues in the Denver area, and I was initially supposed to just come in and, like, co-engineer and just help him with mic placement and plugging everything in and stuff. But the drums just sound so much better with that natural reverb, because it was a huge Gothic style hall.
Oh, cool.
And we tested for hours, like, tested microphones. Like, I would run cable all the way to the back of the room and see, like, how, like, he hit a snare drum, and it was just sounding so huge. I had to we placed 6 mics throughout the theater to, like, pick up ambient and natural reverb, and that's what makes the drums sound so full, man. They're very, very full because of that.
Okay, cool. Yeah, man, it's a really cool idea to go in and record in a theater. I think more bands need to do that, because it's a really cool idea to do.
Right, it's more natural. Mm-hmm. That's what we were going for on the whole sound of the album. Everything's very raw.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so easy for bands to put out a record that's just so overly produced, and there's so many different effects that they put into it that it doesn't seem natural. It doesn't seem, you know, pure. I think that we need to get back to, you know, the basics and recording a record that, you know, if when you hear it, that's what you feel like is going to happen when you see it live. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You want the drums to sound like you're in the same room with them.
Exactly, man. That's what music's all about, man. You don't want something that's too overly professionally produced.
Right.
So tell me, Matt, how did you come to be in the band? Because I know this was your first record with the band. How did you come to be a part of it?
It's a cool story, actually. I have been a fan of the band for years, and I was in another band called The Absence back in the day, and we did a tour that ended up crossing paths with Havok at this little bar in New Jersey, and there was like 8 people there, dude, and I was eating chicken wings, like watching Havok play, and I was like, this band fucking rips. And then we became friends. We found out we had like the same management, so we put together a tour, and we went out with Malevolent Creation and Full Blown Chaos across the U.S. in 2010 or 9, I believe. Might have been 10. And then after that, we just stayed in contact. You know, Pete played drums in my band when we needed a drummer to fill in for a tour, and then I did sound and merch for them like a couple tours of last year. So when it came time, you know, Jesse decided to leave the band and, you know, pursue his family life. I was obviously the first choice because we had such a strong like relationship already.
Awesome, man. And it looks like it's working out really well so far. I mean, everything's going well. Great killer record, great tours, great shows. You've got the Whiskey coming up tomorrow, which is always, you know, that's a legendary place in itself, man. You guys got to be pumped about that one.
A legendary place that provides legendary times.
Yes.
I mean, it's awesome. Every time we play there, it's like a dream come true.
Awesome, man. So what's the rest of the year look? It's hard to believe that the year's almost over already, but what's the rest of the year look?
Tell me about it.
Man, what are you guys coming up, man?
Well, after this tour, we have like about 2 weeks off at home. We're going to rehearse a direct support set for going out with Soulfly in October.
Nice.
Yeah, we're going out for direct support with Soulfly for about a month. And after that, we have plans either to do something pretty big in the U.S., another big tour, or we might go over to Europe and do a tour on the new album over there to finish out the year.
Awesome, man. Dude, it sounds like fun, man. And thank you.
Yeah, it's going to be a blast.
Thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me tonight. It's been killer, man. Hopefully we can get sometime soon again. So.
Absolutely, man. It was my pleasure, and yeah, like if we're ever in your area, come on out.
Oh yeah, you bet, man. You were just in Indianapolis last month, I think,
right.
And so unfortunately I couldn't make it out. But the next time I've got to get out there, man. So
yeah, man, you'll have fun.
Hopefully we'll see you then, dude.
Cool, man. Thanks for taking the time.
No problem, man. Have a killer show tonight.
Thanks, bro. Talk to you soon, man.
See ya.